Hello and welcome to a new episode of PTR Perspective, where we dive into the minds shaping the future of electrical infrastructure industry. I'm Hassan Zaheer, managing partner at PTR, and today I'm joined by Klaus Meywirth, the area sales manager at Marsilli.
Hello.
Klaus brings nearly 30 years of experience across the electronic manufacturing sector and winding automation technology. For the past 11 years, he has been part of Marsilli, which is a global leader in coil and motor winding automation, where he combines his technical sales leadership with process consulting and product co-engineering knowledge. It was a real pleasure meeting you, Klaus, during Quimby Berlin 2025, and I'm delighted that now we're having the opportunity to continue our discussion here today as well. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me, Hassan. Nice to be with you in this conversation today, in this interview.
Likewise. So, in today's conversation, we will dive into Marsilli's legacy of around 80 years in delivering the winding and assembly solutions across different industries like automotive, for example, electromechanical applications, appliances. But I also want to explore a little bit more on how the technical advancements, the overarching sustainability goals, and the evolving global policies are shaping kind of the next generations of solutions in the industry. And of course, I also want to reflect a little bit on this year's Quimby Berlin as well, in partnership with whom we're doing this particular episode of the PTR Perspective podcast, which is a key platform for the coil winding industry. Thank you once again for joining us. Let's jump right into it. I want to start a little bit with your background and the role at Marsilli for the viewers of the episode. Could you walk me through a little bit more on what your role involves and how are you kind of supporting companies work across these different verticals that I just mentioned, right? Automotive, electromechanical applications, and maybe also highlight how Marsilli itself is positioning, itself as a company across these verticals.
Yeah. So, how to explain? Area sales manager means me and my team, we are responsible for the customers in this area, which I'm responsible for. And this is Germany and the surrounding countries, with the exception of France. Because of French language, we do have two French gentlemen located in France looking after that market. So what does it mean to be responsible for the customers in that market in the sales? Selling winding machines is not selling like bananas or something, products that you can get in the supermarket. It's very much related to consulting, to understand what customers really need from us and to convey our ideas how to solve their production needs. So in this role, me and my team act as interpreters, if you will, not only between the language of Italian, where our headquarters is, and German, but also in what you really need. We have to understand from the customer, we have to interpret, we have to tell our people in Italy. And on the other way around, it's the same thing. Yeah. If we develop a solution in Italy, in our headquarters, we have to also explain to the customers the benefits, the pros and the cons. So it's more an interpretation. 95% of this job is communication and interpretation and communicating correctly what the other party needs and what we want to deliver. 5% is sales. 95% is communication, but I guess this is the same for most of us in this. Sales is a consequence of good consultation. I'm doing this now since 11 years in Marsilli. Before that, I was in electronic manufacturing industry, something completely different, putting components on PCBs, soldering them and selling them. Has got nothing to do with automation. But since 11 years, I'm now doing this with Marsilli. How do we position ourselves as Marsilli? As I said, it's very much consulting, and each machine that we sell is different from the one before. I think in 11 years, I maybe saw 2 times the same machine, because it's a big difference if you produce a coil which is 10 millimeters in diameter or an electric motor which is 300 millimeters in diameter. So everything is very much different, and we take it also from there. Many customers in these times, when they come up with new product ideas, knock at our door in the very, very early phase of the product idea. So we take it from there. We go through the whole process of development, co-engineering, planning the industrialization, then finally building a machine, keeping it up with the service for the complete lifetime of the machine, and then maybe later on also refurbishing it or retrofitting it to another product. So what we do is there, from the beginning to the end, we try to be a partner to our customers there. Because, as I said, it's not like selling bananas. It's something tailor-made and where you have to be there from the first moment until the end. This is how we position ourselves.
Thank you. Thank you so much for giving the context. I think it's very important for the viewers and listeners, right, to understand kind of where you're coming from for the upcoming questions. And I 100% agree. I think in today's world, you don't sell products, like, you really need to sell solutions to the customer's problems, which I think you guys do a really good job at that. I want to tap into that a little bit. So you bring a very strong background in plant engineering and factory automation with all these years of experience, right? That's what you use to consult the customers as well.
Yep.
With that in mind, overall, the industry landscape is shifting a lot. There is electrification, there is electric mobility coming into picture, there's digital transformation happening as well, which is reshaping how the industrial landscape is. What are the technological advancements which are driving the next generation of winding and assembly solutions that you see?
This is one clear key element is increasing the efficiency of the products. So energy efficiency in many, many cases, this is a very important part. For example, think about water circulator pumps that you have at home in your central heating, which are running, some of them all the day long. So it's very important that they run very energy efficiently. And this has implications on how to manufacture them. So in the past, you might wanted to have a certain amount of copper in your state elimination, which was okay. And today you want more, because more copper means more magnetic field, means you can make this more compact or more energy efficient. And this is requesting, depending on how far you go, for different winding technologies. So this is one important key factor. Another important factor is that supply chains are getting more and more complex in these days. So localization can be a role, which is not necessarily driving the technological advancements of the equipment, but where it is placed, for example. So nobody knows at the moment what the taxes will be in, I don't know, in a month or 6 months or in a year. So this is troubling our customers a lot, I can tell you, because you take decisions, and if you don't know what's going to happen, it's complicated for them. But from the technology point, really, energy efficiency is one. If you look into the traction engines in the cars, for example, there you might see a lot of discussion going around rotors without permanent magnets, with copper windings instead. This is a hot topic, I would say, at the moment. Some are already in production, like BMW and Renault. Others are going to follow for this. So it's another technological advancement.
Okay, so efficiency, the localization of manufacturing, and the evolution of the EV traction motors.
Yeah.
The efficiency bit is very interesting because it kind of goes back to sustainability as well a little bit, which is becoming a bigger priority across our industry, and then also across the end application, the verticals that you guys serve at the end of today. How is your broader commitment to sustainability kind of influencing, kind of the work day to day? And also, I think like what's also interesting is that how are you aligning that with the changing global agendas, like, EU's the climate agenda or UN's 2030 agenda, for example. There's a bit of an uncertainty, and I feel like sustainability and it's not as hot of a topic as it is, as it was a couple of years ago. But still, I would like to focus on that and see how is that influencing the way you work today.
Yeah, this is a good question because a lot of the sustainability topics that are created by the products that our machines manufacture are dictated by the design of the product. So let's say the amount of CO2 equivalent that is generated to produce an electric motor is probably not only a fraction of the CO2 equivalent that motor produces while it's running. So this part we don't have under control because we are not developing the motors or the coils, we are developing the machines. So if our customers are going into more energy efficient products, this is on their part. This causes certain requirements for the machines, but this is something completely different. What we do is, first of all, we try to reduce our emissions that we have during the production of the machines. So we are participating in the CDP program, in the Carbon Disclosure Program, getting good ratings there. We are also participating in the EcoVadis, getting the Platinum rating. So, but this is one thing, what we have under control by ourselves. If you look at the machines itself, when they are installed at our customer, also they consume energy. Then you have certain ways to reduce the energy consumption of such a machine. One could be, and certain customers are doing this, one could be to replace pneumatic actuators with electromotoric axis, because pneumatic is consuming a lot of energy. This is one thing, because you have the air pressure, you have the compressors, you have all the installations. This is consuming energy more than electromechanic axis. One thing. But if you do this, your production equipment will be more expensive. A pneumatic actuator is a catalog part, electromechanic axis as well, but one is cheaper than the other. So this is a selection, a choice that the customer has to make. Second is, you would be interested in if you have suction systems, like when you have fumes or smoke or something that you have to evacuate from the machine, how much important is to have the correct tubing, no sharp edges, correct diameters. This reduces the amount of energy that you need for suction systems. So every little thing adds up to this. And if you do this correctly, you can reduce the energy consumption of your machine. You can switch it off when it's idle, automatically, for example. Maybe in the past you switch it off after 10 minutes, now after 1, probably. So these kind of things you have to take into account. The third is, if your machine is running in a good and stable way and is producing output all the time, instead of waiting for something or producing scrap parts. I mean, scrap parts is waste of energy. So increasing the quality of the machines, doing a proper maintenance every day, every single week at the customer site where we're also helping, this helps also. It's not so obvious, but it's a part. We have to add piece by piece everywhere. And you're saying it's not so important anymore for our customers. I would not be so sure, because you see in specifications from some customers, you see already that you have to have rankings from EcoVadis, or you have to have a method to measure your emissions, to reduce your emissions. You have to prove this. You see this from big companies. And as is coming from the tier 1, it's trickling down to the tier 2, to the tier 3, and to the machine manufacturers. So it is important, and we treat it important. It's important for us as Marsilli. Very important.
So that's on the technology and the improvement in technology. Let's talk a little bit about strategy. Globally there are certain kind of macro trends, right? Government policies on manufacturing standards are changing. Automation is ever evolving. Sustainability, we just talked about this as well. How are kind of these existing and emerging regulations, changing the way Marsilli is taking strategic decisions, right? And how is it affecting your innovation roadmap, for example? And then I would also be curious to get your opinion on Which of these particular policies or trends you see as very big key drivers of, or big challenges to the growth of your business moving forward?
This is a difficult question to answer because, I mean, all these macro goals from the United Nations, you find them in a lot of company annual reports, and they have to drive the product development. This is the point, because we are the machine manufacturer. What we can also say is how we respond to that. So, for example, our machines have, if you treat them well, if you clean them properly and do the maintenance in a good way, they last probably 25 years. So 25 years is a long time. Most of the products that are manufactured on such machine don't have a product lifetime of 25 years. You are going to change multiple times. And this is something that we do. We help our customers with that. So as long as your product is as similar enough to what they have before, send us back the machine, we refurbish it. We don't throw it away. So we can clean it, we can repaint it, we can put the new safety circuits in, we can even upgrade the computers in that. So, but we give it a second life. So this is, if you will, this is part of you can call it strategy, but it's common sense. I mean, if something is still good after 10 years and lasts another 15 years, you can call it strategy, but it's common sense and it's cheaper than to build something new, because all the steel, the aluminum, and all these kind of things which is in the machine is still good. There's nothing bad with that. This is something. And the other thing is, if you give machines flexibility from the very beginning, it has also positive impact on sustainability, because flexible machines you can easier retool. This is, if it's too tailor-made, it might be cheap from the beginning, but then later on, if your product ends at the end of its lifetime, you have a piece of equipment which is very much to one product focused. So this is a question for customers where to invest the money. Put you a little bit more in flexibility, because in 10 years you have a benefit from that. Or do you have something tailor-made? It's cheaper now, but in 10 years you throw it away. So these are the extremes. There's always something in between. But if you call this strategy, call it strategy. But at the end, it's common sense. It's reducing investments, and reducing investments in machinery is reducing emissions. Mm-hmm. Reusing parts, important. We are checking with our customers, do they have equipment which they are not using anymore? We are trying to buy it back from the market because somebody else might want it. Mm-hmm. It's a relatively important part of our business now. Not 10% yet, but more than 5% of our revenue is this, which is okay, very much okay. So
very interesting.
Yeah. But so I think this was not your complete answer to your question, because your question was much broader and wider.
Yeah, no, but I mean, this is also interesting insight, right? How you're kind of rethinking the way you're working with the customers and working in the industry. Refurbishment is a big part of it, like trying to reduce the waste as much as possible. Yes. Is also important. So like, it feels like sustainability is a very big value at the company. But the second part of my question, yes, you're right. So is there any particular policies or trends that you see would be changing our industry a lot?
Oh yeah, everything about permanent magnets is creating issues for all the motor production industry outside of China. This is a major part, because to a lot of things you cannot, at least my knowledge is, you cannot avoid the permanent magnets in the motors. In many of them you can't. So this is going to have influence on all of the motor production companies in Europe and the US and in Mexico. Second is where you put your machines. What are the labor costs in the countries where you put your machines? So it is a difference if you design a machine for, let's say, let's take an example of Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe, where labor rates are at the moment still lower than in Western Europe. There you maybe can afford a little bit more manual operations than in Germany or Switzerland or Austria. But as we see that in these countries, for example, Czech Republic, machines would be exactly the same like in Germany, because the labor cost is already at such a level that full automation is necessary. If this trend is continuing, which we expect, then in 5 years, you have the same in Bulgaria or Romania. So the level of automation in Europe is not going to be very much different from Germany to Eastern Europe anymore. We can already see that. Probably different if you go to Vietnam or Far East Asia, but this is not so much an area where we're selling a lot of machines.
Very interesting insights. Thank you so much for your time, for answering the questions, like your insights around technology and how kind of sustainability is evolving in the industry. Very interesting. And yeah, I hope to see you soon somewhere in the industry.
Absolutely. We will meet again, I'm quite sure.
Yes.
Next year in Berlin, latest.
Yes, latest. Exactly.
Okay. Hassan,
thank you, Klaus.
Thank you very much, and have a nice day, and thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you to everyone who's watching the episode as well. Feel free to subscribe. If you want to reach out to Klaus, feel free to reach out directly to him on LinkedIn. We will link the link to his profile below. But if you have any specific questions around this market as well, we're always happy to help you get those answered. Have a nice day.
Super. Thank you.